All right, so this is awesome. Pearl Blanca is just blessing us with information to help you get over any anxiety that you may have delivering a speech or any challenges that you may have figuring out what to say. And so, Pearl, so you have your mindset. You've kind of figured out that everyone is there to see you succeed. You've thought about your angle, your approach, which is obviously very important. But now it's moments before you're going to get on stage, and that is. I've done the TV thing. I've spoken before audiences as well. That's really when you need to go to the bathroom. Right?
Yes.
So what does a person need to do now to overcome that 5 minutes I'm going to be going on? That's when you really don't want to do it. That's when the fear really kicks in. How do you, especially for those who are just getting their public speaking wheels under them, help these folks out? What do you say to coach them to success?
Okay. One is I would tell them that if you need to use the loo, do that. But 10 minutes before your presentation is about to start. Because the last thing that you want to do is somebody is calling out your name and you want to rush to the loo. No. You'll just make yourself more nervous. Although if you need to do that, well, you've got to do it.
You gotta go. Yeah.
But get all those things out of your way. And again, it is so simple, but it works, and that is breathing. So I'm just 5 minutes before my presentation. I'm really, really worried. I'm scared. I have this weight on my shoulders, whether I will be able to do that persuasive speech or not. And I'm really worried. I'm anxious. And I'll again go back to that fundraising event I was talking about. Yeah, that particular evening. As a speaker, I was really worried. And so what I did was I just stepped out of the room. Yeah, I just went away and I just breathed, and I breathed deep breaths, diaphragmatic breathing. Just help me calm down. And then I just told myself, you know what? These guys are here for a great presentation. They're sitting with all the money that they can spend. What do I have got to worry about? If I just go and do my job well, it'll be done well. Yeah. So instead of again focusing on, oh my God, what if I don't do well? I began focusing on, it's going to be great. And it was great. It was great because they weren't there to judge me. They were there to actually understand if it was a cause and an organization worth investing in. So that's what I was there for, to tell them that it was a great organization to invest their money in, and that's what they wanted to understand. So we were actually on the same side again. And as soon as I got that perspective in that last moment, it helped me. But otherwise, just drink some water, breathe, it helps. If it's a long presentation, for example, if you are speaking at a long seminar, if you're going to go on for a couple of hours, I would say keep a water bottle. It's very basic things, but they help.
So you step on stage. What are some icebreaker kind of things you want to say when you first hit the stage to help people feel at ease? Because, I'm of the opinion that if you're very nervous and you are stumbling, stuttering, your audience is going to start reflecting that back into you. That create a domino effect downhill, right?
Yeah.
So what are some things that someone can do or say to help put them at ease, to help the audience be at ease, to sort of work your way into that core message you're trying to deliver?
Okay. I'll suggest something different, because what you're asking me is, what is it that people can say, the speaker can say to put their audience at ease? I would say, how about for the first couple of seconds, you don't say anything at all. So you go onto the stage, so you step onto the stage, you stand there, take a couple of seconds, just look at your audience. And I don't mean that you look at the top of their heads or on the wall at the back of their heads. No, actually look at them like human to human. Eye contact, maintain that eye contact. Engage with them. And you don't have to do it for like 5 minutes, but you can do it for half a minute. It's also an opportunity for the audience to understand that you are somebody who's ready to look them into the eye. Yeah. Because as you said, whatever I project, they're going to reflect back. So if I let my guard down, people would be open to receiving me and subsequently my thoughts. So what I like to do is, I really like to step on the stage. I take about 10 seconds, 15 seconds. And that is the time I give myself as well as a speaker to gather my thoughts and my anxiety, everything. And I really like to engage with my audience, look at them. And then I start. And here's the thing. I would say, don't ever start your speech with an apology. No, there's so many people who say, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at this. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You've been listening to such amazing presentations. But you don't have to tell that to us. No, don't do that. Because it's not really required. Yeah. I would say just launch into your presentation, into your talk, your whatever you are doing, into your performance. Because as a speaker, you have about less than 30 seconds tops to engage with your audience and to really grab their attention. Yeah. Don't waste it. Don't waste it in an apology. So take your time, and once you start speaking, say something that's going to stay with the audience. That's very, very important. And as soon as you would see the audience drawn into what you are saying, it's going to work for you as well, because you would see people engaged and you would just get that confidence. And so it's going to work for both the parties.
Okay, great advice. What about the old adage that you just visualize and imagine everybody's sitting there naked listening to me? Does that work?
Oh my God. As a speaker, I would say it probably works for some people, but as a coach, I tell people not to do it. And I'll tell you why. I completely appreciate that different speakers and different coaches may have different opinions on this one. It is considered a very common strategy that as a speaker, you imagine all your audience naked, and that's going to give you confidence. It probably stems from the idea that when somebody is naked in front of you, they would feel vulnerable. And if they're vulnerable, they put you, the speaker, in a position of power. And I say as a speaker, that's just a terrible thing to do to your audience. Yeah. I think as a speakers, we have got to respect our audience. And the right thing to do is to give them the value and the respect that they engage with us and not make them feel small. Yeah, does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So personally, probably it works for some people, but I just disagree with it.
Okay.
For me, it's an absolute no-no. I mean, I wouldn't like somebody to visualize that I am naked when they're speaking and I'm in the audience. No, so I don't want to do that to my audience. Because then I'm playing from a position of power, that I am more powerful. You are small, you're vulnerable, you're naked. No. Can we be equal and engage with each other as humans? That's what I would say.
That's good advice. So what's another thing that someone can do then if that's not not a technique that you suggested? Are there any alternative techniques in addition to what you've already shared?
Okay. People have got to learn to practice. And if you are new to public speaking, don't just think that you would go on the stage and figure it out. Yeah. It is a skill. And it's not that you are either born with public speaking or you aren't. So there are some people who are naturally good at it, which is great. But the great news is that even those people who aren't really born with great public speaking skills can learn it. And therefore, putting in the effort and time and practicing is an absolute must. And once you have prepared your speech well, once you have done the homework, you anyhow know that you're going to do a good job because you have done your bit. Yeah. As compared to when you just straight away go onto the stage and you say something or you plan to say something and you aren't really sure how it'll land. So practice is definitely required. There are no two ways to it. Yeah, I keep on saying that because I've seen so many speakers, they would say, it's such a simple topic, especially when, let's say, they've got to, let's say, talk about themselves. Oh, of course, I'm an expert on me. I'm going to go and just talk about myself. I'm going to do a great job. They have no idea what they're talking about. So do that. Yeah. When you are prepared, you'll be confident.
Should you practice your whole speech from beginning to end? What are some ways? Should you practice in front of like your spouse or a loved one, or just in front of the mirror? What are some suggestions with that?
Okay. There are different ways in which people can do that. I know that for a lot of people, practicing in front of a mirror works really well. It somehow doesn't work for me personally, but then that's just me. What I really like to do is I really like to look at the whole content of my speech. And I don't write my speeches word by word now, but in the beginning, when I had just started, I had this tendency to not conclude properly. Yeah, because probably I was packing in too much content, not getting the timing right. So that's when I would write my speech and do a practice run at home. But now I just know I have figured out how much content I need. For example, if it's a 10 minutes talk, then this is the content I need. And I run through that content in my mind. And I do it in chunks. And this is another very good strategy to remember the content. So let's say you've got to do a 10 minutes presentation, 15 minutes presentation, whatever it is. Or even a day-long seminar, if let's say you are the lead trainer in a day-long workshop. You look at the entire chunk, you look at the entire content, and you break it down in chunks. And you've got to remember, my first chunk is this, my second chunk is this, third is this, the fourth is this. And if you are able to, in advance, then just look at the transitions. So I'm going to talk about this, and then this is how I'm going to move to the next point. And this is going to be my bridge, my connecting link, then the third point, and then the fourth point. And that works for me. So chunking your information. Don't try and mug up everything, because then you'll just take spontaneity out of it and it'll just look too rehearsed. You'll get bored yourself. They'll get bored. Won't work for anyone.
All right. Let's wrap up by talking about the conclusion. Okay. How do you end strong? Especially, I guess, if you're giving a persuasive speech, I guess that'd be really important to really close your speech out well. What are some advice to do that?
Okay, I would say closing the speech effectively is as important as starting it effectively. So you've got to start a speech that completely draws in your audience immediately. And you've got to end your speech such that the conclusion stays with them for a long time. Yeah, probably for hours, days, weeks, months, years. That's what we want. Yeah, and there are certain ways in which you can do that. You can leave them with a question. And interestingly, starting with a question helps as well. So there are similar strategies you can do. You can start your speech with a question, and you can start your speech with a question, end with that question. You can start your speech with a message, end with that message. You can start with your speech with something shocking, and you can end your speech with similar shocking stuff. Or you can give them some food for thought. What works the best, what I feel works the best, is to make your conclusion really punchy. So not go on and on and on about something. Just make it punchy. Yeah, that kind of a blow. Another thing that helps really well, especially in the inspirational kind of sentimental stuff, is I like to throw in a poem or two, just a couple of lines, a verse. Yeah, because people are in that emotional state, and I write those lines myself most of the times, and I would just throw them in, and it just enhances the whole fuzzy feeling kind of environment that we have in the room then. So that works for me.
That's awesome. So in conclusion, this is awesome information for folks. Hopefully the Stage Fear Antidote has helped cure your stage fears. What are some final thoughts you can close out with, Parul, just to help us out, to help folks get started? I think the advice that you gave, that you have to practice, is really important. For me, that's something that I tell my students, you got to practice, because speaking on camera, definitely some similarities, though there's some nuances speaking on camera that are very different that you've probably even experienced. But for folks that are getting started speaking on stage, what would be some basic words of advice you can close folks out with?
Okay. There's often one question that I'm asked as a public speaking coach, and that is, do I have to bring my real self to my speech? Yeah. And I always say yes. I would say, as a speaker, do not shy away from showing who you are and what you are. Authenticity and vulnerability are two things that work really well for me. Again, going back to what I said before, once I lower my guard down, the audience becomes more trusting. Yeah, because when you go and step on the stage as a speaker, then the audience doesn't really know you. You have to give them time and space to trust you. So don't shy away from being authentic. That's one I would say. Second is, there's no shortcut. You've got to put in the work, learn the skill, learn how to manage your mindset, put both the things together, and practice, practice, practice.
Awesome. As we were wrapping up, I was also thinking we didn't really touch on the power of storytelling, but I would assume that similar to commercials or books or anything else, that stories play a huge part. Like your story when you were giving the presentation for the nonprofit, that's a big part of your speaking success, I would assume too.
Yeah. Well, I would say if there is one thing that you want to learn, and such a shame we didn't talk about it more over the last 30 minutes or 40 minutes. If there's one thing that you want to master in public speaking, let it be storytelling. If you can't do anything else, the stories are a must. In fact, your entire speech has got to be a collection of short stories that are intertwined and are interrelated. And there are ways in which you can write great stories. And that's something I teach in my public speaking coaching.
All right, so let's wrap up. How can people find you if they want to learn more about you? If they've said, hey, I want to learn more from Parul, how do they reach you?
Okay. They could reach me through you.
Obviously.
Obviously. And second is I operate under caramelcoaching.com. So www.caramelcoaching.com. And
spell that for us.
Caramel, Caramel.
Okay. Caramelcoaching.com.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then where can they find you on social media?
Yes, they can find me on my social media. My name is Parul Banka, and you can find me as Parul Banka on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter.
Awesome. Well, hey, I want to thank you so much for just helping us out with the stage fear that, I've experienced, and probably just about everyone has experienced at some point. You got to breathe, you got to relax, you got to practice, do all the same things. I want to thank you so much for sharing that information with us, Parul.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Now, I hope you were taking some notes because she shared some awesome tips. One of my main takeaways was how important it is to practice. That's what I teach a lot of my students in my coaching program. If you watched my previous lessons, you know how important practice is. That would have helped me when I really struggle on stage speaking. All right, so thank you, Parul, for that awesome information. Once again, you can contact her at Caramel Coaching, or you can ask me to contact her also. You can reach her through me. It's perfectly fine. Hopefully this information was really, really valuable. Now you're ready to what? You're ready to speak on camera and speak on stage.